So let's first of all start and have a think about acting for a seller in connection with an online or indeed face-to-face auction. Just as with any conveyancing transaction, it is important that our client is comforted by the fact that we are going to perform a title audit. And as far as that is concerned, there are a number of important points I think that we need to consider. Firstly, are we offering a good and marketable title? Secondly, if the title is defective, are we obliged to disclose it? Now, traditionally, what I would say is that we're only obliged to disclose latent defects in title, as in a standard conveyancing transaction. However, in a situation where we have an online auction, it may be necessary for us as a seller to highlight issues relevant to title and to make a full and frank disclosure relating to those issues, assuming that we may have potential buyers that are unrepresented, assuming that we may have buyers that have not considered auction pack and are buying blind. The reason for that change in stance is courtesy of a recent case, which I'll show you in a moment or two. So I think we need to do an audit of the title, and I think in a face-to-face or online auction now, given what we've got with case law, I think it's necessary not just to consider latent defects, but any defect in title, and to ensure that that is flagged up, either as an encumbrance or in the auction pack or auction particulars, the existence of a particular problem. The next thing that I think we need to do is to explain to our client the auction process. And here I'm not just thinking about the mechanics of the auction itself, but the conditions upon which the auctioneer is accepting instructions from our seller client. The auctioneer's terms and conditions may permit the auctioneer to sell prior to auction or post-auction, may enable the auctioneer to sell at a price agreed or a reserve agreed by the seller without further recourse to the seller. And in particular with regard to online auctions, if you look at most of the online auction conditions, you will see that the auctioneer has been cute or clever in limiting liability in connection with themselves, in connection with misrepresentation, misdescription in the auction particulars. The problem with that is that that then encourages, or not directly but indirectly encourages, an aggrieved buyer to pursue the seller rather than the auctioneer, even though the error, mistake, misrepresentation or misstatement was in fact made by the auctioneer in connection with the auction particulars. So certainly with all the online auction conditions of sale, contractual documentation between seller and auctioneer, the auctioneer has been pretty smart in reducing their risk, and I think by implication increasing the risk of potential litigation as against the seller.